Well, on to the Jayco Herald Sun Tour now, and after an absence of 15 months, Australia's oldest stage race was back. Moved to January for the first time, it's seen as the perfect head-out for riders with ambitions to do well at next week's National Men's Road Race. It started at Williamstown with the Prologue time trial, where unheralded Queenslander Jordan Kirby upstaged a big-name field to clock the fastest time over the 4.8-kilometre course. Kirby set the fastest time of 5 minutes and 25 seconds. Simon Clark, Simon Gerrans and Nathan Haas all secured top 10 placings. And that brings us to stage one. On the agenda, 147 kilometres of racing, and it wasn't the terrain that would punish the riders. It was the searing 40+ degree temperatures through Victoria that would prove very testing. Let's take a look.
And the route today for Scott McGrory, well, it's his old training road, right, Scotty?
Certainly is. I do live and train around the roads of Bendigo, and it's going to be very brutal for the riders today. They do have to tackle the Mount Macedon climb from the southern side, which is far more steeper than the north. But the biggest challenge of the day is going to be the wind, with also the very high temperatures. Scheduled to hit 41 degrees, and it's going to be a very strong northerly right into the faces of the riders. They head towards Bendigo.
And for the young race leader, Jordan Kirby, it's going to be a tough ride today under the sun for sure.
How'd you sleep last night with the yellow jersey next to you?
Oh, look, mate, it took a while, but you know, once I got to sleep, it was all right. We had to get up pretty early because they moved the stage forward today because of the heat, which, you know, I'm actually pretty happy about because, you know, I'd rather get it done a bit earlier and, you know, try so it's not as hot sort of thing.
Well, there he is right on the front as they get the countdown and now move out onto the highway. First day of racing on the open road after the prologue yesterday. And the undulations beneath this hot sun, it's not just the undulations and the sun, Scott, it's also the incredibly strong winds. It's now we're getting up to the sprint here for the King of the Mountains, and it's these budget forklifts, King of the Mountains. The first big points going there at 24 here. First man over the top. And is Haas going to be challenged by Chris Jury? I'm not sure. Well, just a little check over his shoulder by Haas. Haas keeps on the pressure. That's good enough to dispirit Chris. So he gets the 24 points. Jury gets 16 over the top of the climb. 50 kilometres through to the finish now, and that's on the track on the velodrome there in Bendigo when we get there. Still one sprint to come in Strathfield Say and the climb of One Tree Hill. So this is not a done deal for these riders. And just look at this back in the peloton. The green and gold of the national team of Australia have put everybody on the front, and it's having an effect. It's down from just over 5 to 4 minutes.
Well, these riders would have known from their team manager Dave Sanders in the team meeting before the stage start that when you get to Reedsdale, you make a left-hand turn and then you'll be going into more of a crosswind, and that's why Stuart O'Grady, the former winner of Paris-Roubaix, got onto the front. He's a Tour de France champion. He's the captain on the road for all the teams that he's ever ridden for, Phil, so he knows what to do. He knows how to take charge of a race.
And these three riders are clear, and they've been clear since they started the climb here. Calvin Watson of Victoria, Josh Atkins of New Zealand, and Aaron Donnelly of Genesis. Donnelly in the centre of the group.
With about 900 metres to go to the top of the climb. It actually gets steeper at the top. It's Calvin Watson on the front of the trio. Aaron Donnelly so strong riding across the gap from the main field.
I don't think anybody's going to interrupt Josh Atkins here as he does his little piece of pacemaking over the top, and Calvin Watson not too interested. There's the line, and this is the sharp left turn for the plunge down now. All about who's going to win the day. They've gone over the top of One Tree Hill. They've got time on their side, I think, just on 13 kilometres, you said, Scott. 2.5 minutes, more or less. That should do it. Well, Donnelly rode a good, strong time trial, and now you can see this big man on the front here. He prepares for the left turn now. We're heading into the stadium. These are the three leaders, and then we will be on the concrete velodrome, just on the right shoulder of the riders now.
Well, they've just gone under the 1 kilometre to go sign, about to enter the velodrome.
As they come onto the track itself now, this is a desperate finish, but the big figure here of Donnelly snatching it on the line. And the salute there from Watson saying well done to him. He got second over the line.
It's been a tough few years for me. I've had a lot of misfortune, and it's been a long time since my last win, and yeah, I'm just over the moon, ecstatic.
Nathan, how much of a factor was the heat today?
Oh, you know, it was one of those things that you didn't really understand was there until all of a sudden the blanket was just thrown on and, you know, you can't escape it. So it, you know, I think it was definitely a factor in terms of the chase actually being a lot harder than we gave it credit for, and I think ultimately, you know, that favoured the breakaway in the end.
Yes, it most certainly didn't. It certainly favoured this young man, but it only came through hard work, and he worked his way to the front of the race today, and he never relinquished that on the finishing line. So Donnelly, Calvin Watson, Josh Atkins and Linfield at 2 minutes 20, Luke Davison 2:38, Alex Malone is 6th, and Jordan Kirby at 2:39. He goes from 1st down to 7th overall in the race.
Welcome back to Cycling Central. We're looking back at highlights from the Jayco Herald Sun Tour. Aaron Donnelly of the Huon Genesis team earned his place in the leader's yellow jersey after stage 1. And although temperatures dropped somewhat, the 146-kilometre trek from Mitchelton to Hillsville for stage 2 served up some red-hot racing.
Let's see how they're going to do today on stage 2 as we leave the winery, now bound for Hillsville.
A couple of big climbs on the stage today. They go up Highlands Road with the first King of the Mountains, and it's quite a steep climb. We're very testing for a lot of the riders. Towards the end of the stage, though, there is a very tricky descent from Tulangi all the way down to Hillsville, where there's also a very tricky finishing circuit.
Simon, you don't quite get to ride into your hometown today, but it's pretty close.
Yeah, it's not often that I actually do much racing in this neck of the woods these days. So yeah, hopefully I'll have a few fans on the side of the road and a bit of support, so I'm looking forward to it.
Well, the riders now are almost 58 kilometres away since they left Mitchelton Winery. The 11 riders are still clear, but the notable thing about the breakaway here today is that riders in the main field are chasing, and it's less than a minute behind the main field. Well, this is Haas coming to the top of the second and final official climb of the day as he goes through the 58-kilometre point, and once again Simon Clark protecting his rear, not attempting to damage those points. Now he'll go through and he'll help Nathan Haas. But there's the result: Haas, Clark and Darren Lapthorne. So it's been a good day in the mountains so far for Nathan.
We can just see the pressure that everybody is under as Simon Clark has gone to the front. He wasn't going to hesitate over the top there, Phil, just wanted to really get on with it, use this descent to its full advantage, and then really try and get this lead group working well together. He can just assume that behind him in the race, the main peloton is certainly going after them. Well, pressure's certainly on. 20 seconds is the gap now.
And I think they lost interest, quite frankly. They've been in the lead for 50 kilometres and the pressure is going off. A little steady drag away from Ye, and this breakaway knows now that the capture is imminent, I think.
Well, it was such a strong breakaway group that the main peloton had to react, and they didn't really get much more over a minute, but there's the catch. Finally, the peloton has regained that breakaway group.
And Jack Anderson livens it up immediately for Team Budget Forklifts. Now this is a whole different ball game now, because with these two riders coming across, Will Walker and Luke Davison. Walker is 12th overall, and Davison, who was in the earlier break also, is in 6th place overall, and he's got back into the breakaway. So we've got 6 riders clear now, and they're going to have to really work at this. The gap has shot up now to 63 seconds. Well, these two actually attacked together, and they blew away the other 4 riders, as they now only 4 riders in 2 groups of 2 behind them, and the peloton snapping on the heels. So they'll be swept up. Whether they'll catch these 2 leaders, I'm not too sure. There's the gap to the chase, 17 seconds at the moment. Joe Lewis is still in this group, but the 2 Budget Forklifts riders, they've gone back to the peloton, Sam Horgan and Carl Evans. Little bit of a move there by Davison. Now can in fact Will Walker react to this, because teammates they may be after this race is over. Today they are rivals, and the 3-time world junior track champion Luke Davison is pushing on.
Oh, he's doing exactly the right thing here. Forget about the obligations after this race. It's all about today and tomorrow as well, with the overall race finish at Arthur's Seat.
It's all up to Davison now to win the day. And I think he's assured of doing that, because Will Walker has eased back. He can't catch him. A nice crowd here, the best so far of the few days of racing since we started in Williamstown. And he just checks over his shoulder once again. There's the line, that's the victory. He looks as though he's not sure if he's done enough. There was no victory salute coming from him.
You had a brilliant season last year on the National Road Series. How does this rate amongst your wins?
It's definitely probably the toughest road race I've ever done, and in terms of its prestige, it's up there. So I'm very thrilled with it, and it shows good form. Trying to tie in the track this season. I think it's good things to come.
Arundel leads by 14 seconds over Calvin Watson, 17 over Josh Atkins, and 2 minutes 11 back to Luke Davison, who has now come up into 4th place.
And the Jayco Herald Sun Tour comes to an exciting conclusion tonight. You can see highlights on SBS2 from 9:30 p.m. That's of the final stage to Arthur's Seat. Don't miss it.